back to some more underwater footage, taking on the Westin Escape Cam, and here we go down onto some reefy ground here, and later on you're going to get some wrecks. I'm going to do a bit of a voiceover today just to explain what's happening. 150 foot deep here, so 150 foot deep, going down onto a bit of rocks in a minute, and we're targeting Black Bream on a simple two hook dropper rig, a couple of floating beads, a bit of cuttle there, and we're on a size 2 curved Cox and Rule short shank scratch and match, and I put a little picture here for you now, one of my favourite hooks for bream, and that's what we're targeting here on a mark. I fish regularly for Black Bream in the autumn. Didn't know if there was going to be any here today, but the beauty of the camera is we get to have a look. Straight off the bat, loads of scallops on this bit of ground. All the little white patches you'll see in a minute as the video goes on, all scallops, and they can't be towed because of the nature of the ground. So yeah, you'll see a lot of scallops here, and hopefully we see some fish shortly. Now, one of the beauties of underwater camera is you get to look at the rig, and you can see here instantly that floating bead should be down by the hook, and it's just zoomed off now, but it was tangled up, and I'm going to rectify that. I'm going to come up with an idea to keep that floating bead away from the main body. But one of the beauties of these underwater cameras is not just looking at the fish life, you get to look at what your rig's doing, and you wouldn't know this otherwise. You wouldn't know this information if you didn't have this camera. I wouldn't know my bead was doing that. So the beauty of it is I get to now alter that to make my rig better, which is ultimately going to catch me more fish. Just coming into view now is a ballan wrasse, a lonely ballan wrasse here. I would expect this mark to be filled out with bream, but I was a little bit early at the time of filming. Normally this would be alive with Black Bream now, and you'd be getting 2 or 3 a drop depending on your rig. And we start to see the first of what will be a lot of big boulders coming in. Big car-shaped boulders, pretty smooth, you can run your gear over it. And here comes a nice big scallop that I was talking about, and you'll see plenty more of those. But yeah, nice big rocky ground, and I think we had a Black Bream there, had a quick nip at it. One thing you'll notice is these bream are lightning fast. It's why I strike Black Bream. It's up for debate whether you do or don't, it's individual, but having seen so much of this underwater footage, they are absolute Houdinis. They will come in, rag your bait, shake your hooks off. Doesn't matter how sharp it is, what pattern hook you've got on, whether it's a circle hook or a J hook or just a standard sort of crab hook, they will come in and it will be gone in seconds. And there's another one of those scallops right there, look. Keep an eye on the left-hand side of your screen now. You're going to see a squid coming in. I sound like Richard Attenborough, don't I, from Jurassic Park here. But yeah, if you keep an eye on your left-hand, there he is there, look, and I'll clip that and I'll replay it again in slow motion for you. Yeah, lovely little squid coming in. The first one in Sussex I've seen this autumn, so they are not far away, and we shall be having a go for those, I promise you. This next bit's interesting, goes to show the value of having these floating glow beads on there. Bream had stripped a bait earlier on in the drift, but a cheeky little gurnard comes up and he attacks that second hook there. No bait on it, just going for those beads, and he gets hooked up. and he comes all the way to the boat. Lovely little red gurnard. Alright, dropping down onto a wreck now. Take a look at what we see here. We're about to come into something quite nice here. Wreck was nice and shallow. I've spoken about how I find wrecks to put the camera over. Basically drift it 3 or 4 times with a standard lure, get it nice and low. If you don't snag up, chances are you've got a good chance of putting the camera over it. Risky game, but you get this sort of footage here. And look at these big pollock, and look how all these pout give them a wide berth. Look at that, some lovely fat chunky pollock. Unfortunately, some mackerel had that bottom bait on the way. But again, that pollock comes up to have a look at it though. And again, you'll see it again, they're coming up for them beads. And there's one of those mackerel that are taking it. Had there been a bit of bait on that bottom hook, undoubtedly we would have had some pollock. Undoubtedly. Had 4 last time out doing this same method. So just a bit unlucky there. But there is a lot of big pollock on this wreck. And again, I wouldn't know if I didn't have the camera down. If you've watched any of my bream videos, you will have heard me say if you're catching pout, then you are generally too low. And this is why wrecks are just loaded. 99.9% of wrecks, and there's another little pollocklet, and another one even below that. This wreck was just loaded, and I had no idea at the time. I was bait fishing anyway, wasn't going to put any lures on, but there's quite a few pollock here on this one. I think I counted about 20. But yeah, this is why I say if you're getting pout, you're too low. If I had this dropped another 10 turns, maybe 8 turns, I'd be drifting these baits with small hooks right through that shoal of pout. Alternatively though, you could look at it, I would have caught some pollock. There was a lot here, and there's a nice bream, that's what I'm after. But yeah, bream will generally sit a lot higher than pout. So if you come up a couple of turns, you can get out of the pout and into the bream. And I'm just going to drop it down here again, as you can see. But that's what you'd be fishing on if you kept it on the bottom there like that. Be pout a drop. Bream, they will sit higher though. But as you can see here, they do also sit amongst them as well. Drop any better. I'm very lucky I didn't have this come out and grab the baits. Little conger eel there poking out. Don't know if you can see his head there just poking out of that hidey hole. Quite sunken in this wreck. This part here not so much. Got an old bit of a drum there from an anchor winch or whatever. A few congers sat amongst those. You see quite low here, and those pout, they're having a go at them baits, and there's another little pollock right there. Yeah, but absolutely just loaded with bait fish and pollock, this wreck. and I will go back to it and I'll have a go for those pollock. I'll put some bigger baits down or maybe some lures, but again, wouldn't have known if I didn't have the camera down. Now I've slowed this one down slightly on some sandbanks now. We were just collecting some mackerel from my mates for their bass baits. And talking of bass, this one comes in, actually goes for the camera. Ignores the loomy beads, he comes down as a go now, but he's having a good old shake of that camera. Briefly hooks up on that top hook, and then he is away. And here it is again, real time. Coming into view from the bottom right there, shortly about to be the bane of my life when I get turbot fishing again. Cuttlefish all over the ground at the minute. A set of jigs here would do well. You can see I've already lost the baits, but he's not actually interested in the bait. He's looking at that weight and he'll carry on following that from a distance. Obviously the size is not worthwhile, but yeah, absolute pain this time of year. But it also attracts the commercials and they will be on this mark shortly, going round and round on tons and tons of cuttlefish. Cheeky gurnard again, look, comes out, actually goes for the weight first of all. It's surprising how many fish will attack the weight before they see anything else. Territorial or not, I'm not sure, but he hangs around and he has a good go. And we do actually catch one again later on just a bare hook. And I think that's a ray purse there, some sort of ray maybe, blonde ray or thornback maybe, in one of their egg cases. But yeah, again, lots of little bits to look at here. Scallops, a few fish kicking about, sandbanks. Absolutely brilliant fishing this time of year. If you've made it this far, thank you very much. That is the end of the video. Last few clips here. Gaps in these banks, they really do hold some bream. Not big, but there's lots of them as you can see. Thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe. We've got a whole playlist here and I'll tag it in now for you.